Hello friends and welcome to Aquarius's reading for a week on Friday. I just keep hearing that everything's upside down. A lot of my card decks, because of the way that I'd positioned them sort of off to one side between readings, my cards I was shuffling them, they were all upside down. So I've got this feeling of like almost like a tower moment's here, everything's up in the air, everything's upside down. Either that or just things, maybe you've got that kind of topsy-turvy feeling where everything feels a bit back to front, or literally you could just like be doing something and whoops, it was upside down. So upside down. There's a Paloma Faith song as well in the upside down, so it could be, maybe go and listen to that. That could be for maybe one of you, I don't know. The Ten of Cups fell out as I was kind of pre-shuffling, and I was thinking it feels like making yourself happy, it feels like making yourself happy, and then this card nearly fell out of that deck and it ended up on the bottom. So it confirmed for me, yes, Aquarius or somebody around you is making themselves happy, is bringing in a tower moment. It feels like, could be a spillover from Cappy's reading, because I had that kind of everything's up in the air feeling in Cappy's reading, and it's like everything's landed upside down now, or like everything feels like it's up in the air, everything's, I don't know, I feel like somebody's putting themselves first. I'm hearing finally somebody's putting themselves first, right? So it could definitely be somebody that does a lot for other people, and it's like finally, it's like prioritizing their own needs and like their own self-care. So I don't know who that's for. It could be for one of you. It may not be your whole reading, but we'll see what we get. I'm really getting pulled to keep that out. Like I went to put it away. No, we're keeping these out. Okay, so let's just apocalypse this. Yeah. Coming in with like life is short but life can be sweet energy, or just the absolute the reassessment of priorities when tragedy hits, or the reassessment of priorities when everything falls apart, right? Sometimes it takes a really big kick from the universe to shake your foundations to get you to reprioritize. So that is what I'm sort of feeling from that. I'm going to keep the self out because they want me to. Ugh, the agape as well. Like, that's something quite profound there for somebody. Okay, and the gem as well. Look at that, because to me the gem is the soul. The gem is the heart, the gem is the soul. It comes through for Libra a lot, but it definitely comes through for you too with this kind of like true colours thing. It's like this is the piece that slots in here, and then it like radiates the true self, right? The golden shadow comes out, all the true colours of the person. So it's like suddenly like a big reveal, or suddenly something falling into place that allows somebody to understand where their true happiness lies, because the Ten of Cups normally has a rainbow on it. I've seen the rainbow here as well, so it could definitely be something like somebody's preferences perhaps. It just feels like authenticity, putting themselves first, taking care of their own dreams and needs and wishes, right? Actually understanding, I'm hearing that you are important as an individual, that you matter, that you have the right to be happy. So I don't know who that's for, coming through super strongly. And taking off the mask as well, and actually being like, maybe that's what the tower is, maybe that's what the apocalypse is. You know, it's like, being reminded of something which I'll come back to because I was mid-sentence. Like finally taking off the mask and being like, look, like this is the truth, or like, look, the truth is I'm not happy in this situation. Look, the truth is I cannot keep doing this. Look, the truth is that I need to do something for myself. So however that comes through, I really feel like the mask is off, it's causing this tower moment, but it's because the soul has to break out, right? The soul has to be, oh, what are they giving me? Like the soul has to be, it's because it's a feeling, it's not words. The soul has to be like unleashed. The soul has to be unleashed. The inner has to be free, right? The inner cannot be contained anymore. It's like it just can't. It can't be contained anymore. It's how it feels. It's like literally it won't be held, right? So I don't know. I don't know what all this is. I kind of really strongly want to keep it. That wants to stay out, right? Because that kind of clown card, that cat in the mask isn't happy, right? They put on a false smile, right? I was a little bit worried about somebody that, you know, sometimes people go a bit quiet and you think, is that person okay? So I asked Spotify for a song, is that person okay? Are they happy? And I got Fake a Smile by Avicii and is it Avicii? No. Is it Alan Walker? I think it's Alan Walker, Fake a Smile. So what a profound song to get from, I think I'm approaching 2,000 songs at the moment on my like songs. And of 2,000 songs, I ask if somebody's happy and the song I get is Fake a Smile. So I don't know. I don't know. Make of that what you will. It wasn't an Aquarius I asked about though. It's just the universe sees you, right? People see you. If that's your situation, if you're feeling like this reading's for you, it's like you're seen. The universe sees you. You know, people like me, they may not say anything, but they see you. They see the soul, right? They see that part of you that wants to come out. You are seen, and you're accepted. So, but it's like sometimes you can't force somebody to be authentic. You can't, you know, you can look at a friend and say, I can tell that they're not happy. I can be there for them. I can support them. I can be a friend. But unless that person's willing to speak their truth, it's not for me to speak that truth for them. It's not for me to confront them. It's not for me to kind of challenge that. You know, that person isn't happy. You know, you can't, it's not always appropriate for you to do that. So sometimes you have to wait for that person to break out themselves or to say something themselves. And then it's like, then you can come in and be like, here's the support, you know, I'm your friend, I accept you. You can't do that until people are honest with themselves, right, as well. So again, I don't know if you're the friend, the supportive friend, because that kind of came through in your last reading. I'm not sure. What was that? I heard something about going through, sort of a going through. It's like, I see what you're going through, or I support you while you go through this. Is that kind of energy. So let's get you a song on camera. So Aquarius' reading, please, for next Friday. Chiamami per nome, which is not in English, and my Italian is not, I think it's Italian. Francesca Michelin. My Italian is not good enough to get a true understanding of what's going on there. So let's chiamami per nome. Let's Google that and see if we can. There it is. See if we can Google translate this. Very nice song, actually. Translate to English. That's literally how it starts. Today I have a shirt that does not suit me. There we go. Immediately, it's like I have something that doesn't suit me. I'm wearing a false mask. You know, I have a shirt that doesn't suit me. I run in the park in my area, but I would like to tell you I'm not afraid. Living a dream brings good luck. Your anger doesn't win. Some beginnings don't even deserve an end. But your mouth convinces me, one kiss at a time, like stones against the shop windows. My apologies were 1,000, and in my heart I feel pins. You tried to take them off, baby. Call me by name. Only when I have lost my words. I know that deep down I am amazed by you coming here alone, standing with a lump in my throat. Call me by name. Because basically here on the grass we are 1,000. I feel everything on the skin, but I only see you, baby. In the elevator I waste a sign of the cross. So what? I know how to give the worst, not give me advice. I'm looking for a poison that never gets off. I have a sadistic guardian angel. That was somebody's reading. I took that line out of this song. I have a sadistic guardian angel. So there's a reading somewhere called Hoan Angelo Custode Sadico, which you can go and look up. That might be something for you. Let's drain the sea first and we shed tears. In the dark I cry like a fool. I feel like dying when you talk about me in a way that I hate. Help me understand if in the end you only see the good under this storm. We will give up gold, exchange it for bread. The promises are 1,000, but there is no need to be 1,000 now that I only have you, baby. So, very romantic song. Definitely recommend you go and look it up and listen to it in Italian. It's very beautiful. and what is going on for you. Let's get really strongly drawn to the Archetypes guidebook, the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck. Sorry, the guidebook is the guidebook. What do we need to know, please, for Aquarius? What would you like to very high vibrational. I'm feeling it pulling up. I'm feeling my heart lifting. Very, very high vibrational. And I'm hearing like choral music. So somebody could be going through an ascension. Kairos. And the Starborn. Look at that. Beautiful. Your reading's lovely. Your reading's angelic. Like, honestly. What would I expect? Like, if I'm going to get the Starborn for anyone, if I'm going to get this energy in anyone's reading, it's going to be you, Aquarius, because you are... it's interesting, I've got the flame there as well, and I was talking about lighting matches in Capricorn's reading, and the nectar as well, which is healing. That's like medicine for the... It feels like medicine for the soul, right? Some kind of passion being lit. For me, it's always love. For me, it's always unconditional love. Now they're giving me... For you, there's only love, which is Lana Del Rey. For you, there's only love. It never was about the money or the drugs. For you, there's only love. Nectar for the soul. Love is the nectar for the soul, right? Starborn. Very beautiful energy in your reading, Aquarius. I'm not surprised we started with the Ten of Cups and the self and the soul. You know, the gem is the soul to me. So... whatever is going on around you, or just generally in Aquarian energy, is so beautiful and healing. I just heard friendship as well. So some of you, it's not necessarily love. Oh, look at that as well. We saw a gape, right? Do you remember I mentioned a gape? It's unconditional love, devotion, unconditional love. So you've got the string, you've got the music in you. I want to say, Aquarius, you've got that. Maybe you found that one energy, that universal, unconditional one energy, which isn't in a person, place, or thing. It's in every person, place, or thing, right? It's a note, a chord struck in the universe. It's a vibration that resonates throughout every single living thing. Some people might want to call it God. You don't have to. You know, whatever name you want to put on that note. For me, it's unconditional love. And when you find it and when you feel it and you learn how to, through meditation and things like this, you learn how to find that right frequency, like tuning a radio, and you connect to it, and you find that feeling. You can find it anywhere and in anything, and it's always in yourself. So it's very liberating, I want to say. And I think you found it. I'm just sat here looking up at the clouds, like the blue sky with the white fluffy clouds, and the sun like on them, because I've got that low winter sun, kind of giving the clouds that kind of golden light. And it's like you feel like, I want to say, it's like you've got the music in you, like you've got that note. It came through originally in not necessarily for Libra, but in a Libra reading. I was channeling and I was just walking, and it's like I saw this golden thread, this golden string, and for me it's that energy. It's like this golden string that's everywhere in everything all the time, and you just have to dial yourself into that frequency, and it's always there with you. Gives you the ability to cope as well with whatever life is thrown at you. And I'm saying this as somebody who has never been particularly religious. I'm not christened. I was brought up in some of my family were Church of England, I think. I don't even know for sure. Like my granny, I remember was particularly religious, and but my dad said no, I'm not going to christen her, she can make her own choices. She said, I want her to have freedom of thought, freedom of consciousness, and I'm very thankful for him for making that decision for me, for allowing me to make my own decisions and come to spirituality in whatever form this is in my own way. And I don't have to put a label on it, I don't have to give it a name. You know, it's very personal to me. So I feel like there's this dialing in of the frequency where more and more people are finding this note, this chord, and it's central to you, right? It's no one else's. It's in everybody, it's in everything. It's for each individual to find. So yeah, I think you're on it. I think you've got like, it's almost like you've got the tail end of this string, and you're like starting to, it's like you're starting to like fine tune it very beautiful. I'm just really drawn to the sky. So excuse me a second. Okay, it's my little boy asking if he could have some cereal. So Kairos, mythic time and synchronicity. We have all had the experience of timelessness, of life beyond the ticking of the clock. It may be felt as time standing still, slow motion, or losing track of time on a walk or in a lovely conversation. This is known as mythic time, and it is the territory of Kairos. This card suggests there is a secondary time continuum that goes beyond any earthly clocks and schedules. Within this non-linear realm, we access divine timing. A single moment ripens with auspiciousness, and our actions change the trajectory of our whole life. Time becomes a living thing that watches over us and tells us precisely when to speak or act. When this card appears, it's all about patience and precision. No clock can guide you. Wait for the rush of inner knowing and not a moment longer. That is really interesting. Libra had this thing about needing to do something slowly, needing to acclimatize, right? Like a fish being put into a fish tank. It had to adjust to the right temperature before you can, like, throw it straight in. And Cappy had this thing about it's like a soldier, like a guard, right? And it's like this soldier, really well trained, was on guard duty, and it's like day in day out they were on guard duty. They were just stood there on guard duty, and it's like that moment when all that training needs to come into action. It's like that moment where they just knew what to do. It's almost like the enemy comes in, and the soldier, that training, that blueprint, just, it's like autopilot, you just know what to do in the moment. So it feels like a similar energy with what's been coming through there. A rush of inner knowing and not a moment longer. No clock can guide you. Wait for the rush of inner knowing. So it's almost like I'm getting Ed Sheeran. I'm hearing stop the clocks, it's amazing. The way the sun dances off your hair, a million colours of golden, hazel and red. When light, alignment, ease in decisions and actions. When dark, fighting against time. I have had this energy coming through of somebody who perhaps did have a bit of a shock that life can be short, right? It may be, getting some kind of illness or, diagnosis, or just a health scare, or somebody else, especially somebody who could have passed unexpectedly. It can really jar you into this live in the moment, live in the here and now. Life is short, but life can be sweet energy of, like, make each moment matter. So there's this strange energy of almost with that living in the moment and time standing still. It's like each moment matters. I think Cappy had that as well. It was like being on the brink of making some kind of, I just dropped the book, major life decision, and I just, that line, everything that I say in a reading is part of the reading. So me saying I just dropped the book could be relevant to somebody. So it's like that moment of I'm about to do something that's life-changing. I'm about to make a really big decision. Perhaps somebody is going in for like an operation or something, or perhaps somebody's quitting a job, or changing, perhaps coming out to a very religious, austere family. But it's like that moment of they're telling me the Last Supper. Now, it has just been Thanksgiving. It's almost like this energy of, like, I'll get the family together, we'll sit down, we'll enjoy, I'm hearing Christmas as well for some of you. It's like, we'll enjoy the Christmas period, we'll enjoy, Eid or whatever it is you celebrate. It's like this family get together, this moment, and it could just be like somebody's birthday party. It's like there's this moment in time where you think, I know that life is going to change as soon as I make this announcement. So I'm going to sit here and make the most of this. I'm going to make the most of this family time. I'm going to enjoy everybody being around me, and, not having that worry before I say what I'm going to say, because I might not have this again. I don't know who that's for. It feels big, but it feels like I just have this energy of, like, almost like soul liberation. Like freedom of consciousness, freedom of self, freedom of soul, right? Freedom of authentic identity coming through. It feels big. I keep getting these really like big readings. So it also says the word evil comes from the word, the word evil comes from the root word unripe. Consider that everything has a time of ripeness, when it becomes a nourishing fruit, sweet to the lips. So for example, that warrior, right? That warrior, that ability to be very violent, sometimes it's for a good reason. If that is a guard defending their home, that violence has a purpose. If that violence came out in another circumstance, it may not be appropriate. It may be seen as a bad or even an evil thing. So there is a time and a place for everything. There is a need to use the full palette of, the full palette of human abilities, but there's always a time and a place for it. There's always a suitable moment for that to be released, right? For that to be expressed. So it was coming through for somebody else, like there's nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so, right? There's yeah. Compare the Greek words chronos and kairos. This will guide you to an understanding of logos and mythos. I did an essay on logos and mythos. Mythos is the Greek word for story. So we come to use the word myth as something that's untrue, something that is not fact-based, something that's like almost like a fable, right? But the Greeks didn't use the word mythos in that way. They used it just to mean a story, a good story. So it doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it's false. It's just somebody sharing their experience. Logos is logic. It's the root word of like logic, right? So it's more stoic, logical thought, probably what you're naturally leaning to, Aquarius, because you are King of Swords energy. So having a logical mind, thinking things through, being quite Socratic with your reasoning. You could probably argue that anything is good or bad, and that's why laws change over time. That's why humans don't have a fixed narrative, a fixed perspective. That's why you could go to different countries and different countries will have different laws, because society and the way that people argue in a society creates the values of a society, and these values can always be argued for or against. Something that we find horrific in the West may be very socially acceptable in certain parts of the East. You can look at things like marriage laws, or laws around sexuality, or laws around like there was some very, very iffy laws in the Roman Augustan period around marriage, and the right to basically for a man in the home to administer justice any way that they see fit, which was quite horrific to our modern standards. So they these values are argued for, right? You have people who put forward a petition. You have people like, it could be people who are they speak to the public, men of the cloth, I'm being told, men of religious leaders or politicians or lawyers, these people who put the argument forward for or against a certain law. So I don't know if you're experiencing something like this. Perhaps you live in a certain place where there's some kind of law that you disagree with, where it's acceptable in another place. So there's definitely something about that laws and morals can go hand in hand, but they can also be separate things, and they can also be, you can spin a yarn around any belief, right? You can convince on anything, which is a good thing, right? It's a good thing that we have argument and debate and differences of opinion in society. That's a good thing. But a lot of the time our own personal belief system is just that, it's personal, right? It's just an opinion. It doesn't necessarily have to be applied on anyone else around us. So it's okay to have a certain opinion even if people disagree with it, as long as it's not having a negative impact on other people. And so there's something there about the individual and the society, and the way that minds can be very easily, actually surprisingly easily changed. It's very easy to convince people to adopt a different ideology. It's actually, you know, if you look into it, it's actually surprisingly a lot easier than you might expect. You know, if it's, there's very clever ways that governments can manipulate the populace as well to have a certain belief system, a certain opinion. If you look at like the refugee crisis and some of the opinions that were fostered via certain news outlets, you know, perhaps given hindsight, perhaps many of us would look back on that and see it differently. But you know, drip feeding a certain ideology through the media can actually have a big influence on the populace. Don't know why that's coming through, but it is, right? It's something for somebody. Let's get, I'm getting drawn over to animal spirit. What else for Aquarius, please? What else for Aquarius, please? What else for Aquarius, please? It can be very difficult to be the person who breaks the mold as well. It can be very difficult to stand up in a society where you know that minds have been manipulated into a certain viewpoint, to stand up and be the person that challenges that, but somebody has to challenge it, right? You know, mindset is something that's forever moving, forever changing, and you have to have the innovators, which is very Aquarian, who are the ones who sow the seeds of doubt or sow the seeds of inspiration for something different. Because this is looking to me now like a seed, right? A seed of self, a self seed of a better future. Be generous of spirit. Yeah, lay a solid foundation, look, and be generous of spirit. So it feels like something selfless. It feels like something that's controversial, perhaps. Something that you truly believe in. Something that you, or a friend. Something that comes from a deep place from within, right? A deep soul truth. Very authentic. Very, very much in alignment with your own core truths and values, right? Feels like something that you know to be true because you've connected to this, like this inner cord energy, right? So to you it feels very divine, very inspiring, very truthful, very like this is the future, this is what the future holds, this is the way the future can be, right? It's like having the divine blueprint and knowing perhaps where society needs to be, but perhaps where society is, and seeing, it's almost like seeing all the networks, like seeing all, they're showing me like a I can't think what you call them, like a graph. It's like a, you know, like a story mode kind of, you know, like almost like when you have like footballers, like football teams, and it's like who wins this match, and then you have a name here, and then like they play the person of this match. So it's one of those kind of graphs where it's like lines and bubbles, right? And it's like you can see how to get this picture over to this picture, right? It's almost like an algebra, it's like an equation the way they're showing it me. Very logical Aquarius brain, like big brain time stuff. So it's like you see almost like the paths or the routes available to move society, or it doesn't have to be society either. It could be a workplace or a family. It's like some kind of community, some kind of Three of Cups energy, I want to say. It's like you can see, it's almost like you see now how to change minds. You can see what exactly, it's like you've pinpointed what needs to change to get that picture looking like this picture, but it's coming from something with you. It's coming from your leadership qualities, with it being a lion, and your he's forward looking as well. This lion's forward facing, forward movement, forward looking. So very, very Aquarian energy, right? So it's like you're planting this seed, and it feels like it's almost like it's something from within yourself, very authentic, very truthful, and it's almost like you're laying it out. It's like you're planting it, you're laying it, like laying some sort of foundation, or maybe you're setting up a charity or something like this, but there's something that it's like you're setting it out, and it's coming from deep within you. It's like a part of yourself being laid on the table. But I want to say, because it's very authentic, it will stand, right? It's a strong seed because it's coming from a place that is very truthful. They're giving me the only one who could ever reach me was the son of a preacher man. Sorry, bad singing, but that's what they're giving me. Yeah, this deck off camera has had a lot to say. There's some interesting little stories coming through from this deck. kind of feeling like I want to use it for you, but I used it in Capricorn's reading and it was quite quiet. It was quite candid. So there's the Two of Cups. You're not alone in this. It could be, think of me and you against the world now, me and you versus the world by space. Look up there in the sky now, see the stars while they're shining just for us. It's like I feel like someone else has got the same blueprints, right? Somebody else understands the plan. Somebody else has got the same, they can hear the same note being played. They're showing me like a triangle, but it's like someone hitting a bell. You know those metal triangles? It's like the right note, right? Like the right bell. It's like the same calling, it's like somebody's on the same path as you. Like they can see, it's like somebody else has received like the same blueprint, right? The same image of the future. Again, it's like you and somebody else know where you need to get to. It's like, you know, you've seen part of the divine plan. You know you're meant to be over here. So it's almost like two people kind of rooting to get two people rooting to get to the same direction. It's like almost like two pathways ending in the same place, like with all these different options. So it's almost like two people kind of, almost like they're showing me two people trying to cross. It's like an island with a big like moat of water around it, and two people kind of on opposite sides trying to, you know, like hopscotch or jump lily pads over to this central island. It's like two people, they both have to get there, but it's kind of like, which path do we take? Now they're showing me like Squid Games, you know, when they're going on the glass. So it's almost like this trial and error of like, let's try this. No, that doesn't work. So let's go this way. There's different, it's like different pathways. So trying to navigate to the same place. Anything else from this deck? Eight of Pentacles. I'm telling you, it's been so candid. I'll explain what I mean. There's a lot of imagery in this deck of different animals. So it's been very, very chatty off camera, but like I say, there's all the kind of suits of the tarot are just quite plain images. So it's almost like it's hiding something, this deck. It's very interesting energy coming off this deck at the moment. Something to do with hard work. The Eight of Pentacles is literally a card about trial and error. It's about improvement over time. So normally it depicts somebody working hard at something, but you can kind of see the progress they've made. So it's kind of like if you do something over and over again, or you keep trying, you eventually perfect something. So I feel like there is something where there is kind of a lot of trial and error. There are mistakes being made. You know, there are people, you know, on the wrong foot, but it's almost like, you know, eventually, like a game of snakes and ladders, right? You know, eventually if you keep going, you're eventually going to make it to the top. So it feels like navigation of pitfalls, and you are sometimes going to take the pitfalls. Sometimes you are going to, you know, take the wrong step, but it's like that's okay as long as you keep going, because it's not about how you get there, it's about getting there. And every time you take a wrong step, there's a lesson in that, and it's bringing you closer and closer to this perfection, right? This perfectionist, the gain of knowledge, right? You're giving me, I'll see you when you get there, if you ever get there. See you when you get there. Yeah, very spiritual reading. Look, you've got the Hierophant showing up now. I've only actually pulled out 5 tarot cards here on camera, and one of them's a Hierophant. Again, this action and movement here. So you've got 2 8s there as well, the 8 of Pentacles and the 8 of Fire. 8s are, it's a bond that can't be broken. There's something here that's very spiritual, a very spiritual connection, a very, almost like a soul friends connection. So I don't know if this is something where you've had a lifetime, you know, lifetimes with someone before, or it's kind of like an unbreakable bond. It feels like, because the Messenger of Water is here. This is love. This is people expressing love. It's almost this feeling of like, because there is 2 here with this 2 of Cups, and it is a soul bond. This is somebody who matches you. I kind of want to show you these stars, right? So you're not identical. It's not like identical twins, but you each have these 3 stars around you. It's almost like you're on different, it's almost like the stars are different where you are, right? So if, say you and somebody else were on the other side of the world from each other and you looked up in the night sky, you can both see the same, you know, the same constellations, you know, you both, the sky is above you both, but perhaps it looks different from where you both are, you know, because you're looking at it from a different perspective. So that's interesting. So what if the blueprint, right, is like a sky map? You're both looking at this blueprint, but you've got different perspectives on it. You're both coming at it, you know, like the stepping stones going to the island. You're coming at it from different angles. So it's like you've both got the same map, but you can only, it's like one of you is looking at it upside down, I want to say. You know, like if you were doing ordnance survey, if I can get the words out properly, you know, you have to have the map the right way round. So is somebody looking at the map wrong, or are they meant to have the map upside down so that they, because they're coming at it from a different place, right? You have to, you know, use your compass and turn the map so that you're going in the right direction. Because this unicorn's facing the wrong direction, right? The unicorn could be meaningful. It came through in the, it was an all signs reading, but it was a very personal message for somebody, I think. Or no, it wasn't. It was for Cancer's reading. Right at the end of Cancer's reading, I'd had this visual of a kind of a glitter unicorn, like an air unicorn. So I don't know if that's symbolic in some sort of way. Unicorns, of course, talk about a belief in the impossible, a belief in fantasy, a belief that the magical world can become part of our world. But the Seven of Wands is very defensive. It's very, it can talk about getting the higher ground or taking a higher path, but it's almost like taking the high road, but not knowing where to go from there. It's like you get to the top of the path, you get to the pinnacle, but it's like the only way I can take is to have this leap of faith. Making me think of an Awakening to Spirit Aquarius reading. It's quite a few weeks back, so you may have to go and look for it. But she was talking about getting to the peak, and then it's like it's a struggle to get to the peak, but then going back downhill, it's almost like it's smooth sailing, right? It's like you can slide down there. But this, she was talking about wanting to take your time in it. So definitely go and check out Cindy. She's Awakening to Spirit. It was definitely an Aquarius reading, and yeah, she had this thing about going over the top but sliding down the other side. I don't know how that plays out for you, but it's what's coming to mind. Messenger of Water. So this is loving communication with God, loving communication with Spirit, like having some kind of higher truth, but it comes from this base of love, right? And having this message to spread. So it does have the son of, like I was saying, the son of a preacher. It does have that kind of like preacher quality to it, which now I'm thinking of like sort of a discussion I had with an Aquarius, and Aquarius was involved. It was a group of people, but I was trying to think of certain people and I kept saying the wrong names. So I think I was going for like some like Thomas More or something on, or Cromwell, Oliver Cromwell, and I got mixed up, and I was actually trying to think of Martin Luther, who was a preacher, and I came out with Thomas Cromwell. No, not Thomas Cromwell. Aleister Crowley, who's like the guy who invented that like the tarot card pack. He has a very creepy Wikipedia entry. So really got those people mixed up. But again, this kind of like spiritual, this spiritual revolutionary character, right? This preacher who made real changes. It could be something to do with if we go into history a little bit here, Martin Luther, he was a Protestant preacher. He believed that there was too much power in the hands of the Catholic Church. And now I'm not calling anyone out, whatever your religion is, absolutely fine. I'm talking about history, right? The past. So he promoted this idea of, you know, your own inner spiritual connection to God or the divine or whatever you want to say is up there. He saw religion as something that's very personal, or from what I understand, the philosophy that developed from his, you know, he was part of a movement that created that stressed the link between the person and what was above, because if the theory is, if God is omnipotent, omnipresent, then he's everywhere, he's in everything, right? So he's already within you. Why would you have to go to a big gaudy church and speak to you know, a priest if you can already communicate directly with God if he's omnipresent? So this was the thought process, and it actually ended up I don't know why I'm going into a history lesson right now. I don't know why this is happening, but I'm rolling with it. Anything I say in the reading is part of the reading. It means something to somebody. So it actually had a big impact on English history. We had the English, I want to say the Reformation under Henry VIII, where he wanted to marry Anne Boleyn. So he kind of got a bit cross with the Pope and said, right, I'm not playing your game anymore, I'm going to go and do this Protestant thing. And we had the dissolution of the monasteries and all that business. So it was a big overhaul of English religion, which caused a lot of wars and a lot of stuff that's still kind of playing out even now. But this idea of your religious beliefs being very, very personal and having something to say about that is coming through very, very strongly in your reading. So please forgive me, Aquarians who are not interested in having a history lesson or talking about religion. I know it's not for everybody, but it is our shared history. So maybe you're just studying at college, I don't know, something like that. But it's like, I feel like Aquarius, you have something to say. It comes from within, it comes from some deep inner wisdom, this deep inner truth. You have something to say, and it comes from a source of love. It comes from a place of love. Your messages have good intentions, but there's not just you, somebody else is getting the same messages. I want to just get you an advice card now, and I think that reading's done because we went on a journey together there, Aquarius. But it is, you see, like with the Starborn as well, it's like having the blueprints, having this higher awareness, having the, you know, operating as Aquarius does on a higher spiritual plane, or from the high ground, from having that higher perspective. That's very Aquarian energy. So it's like you do have something to say. There is something within you that's cracking open here. There is something being born. And it just feels very authentic and very, it's coming from a place of love, and it's important to you. And sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you need, it doesn't even have to be religion, right? It's just something truthful within you. It's just the examples they were giving me. But it's like you can make a change. One person can change the course of history. One person can change hearts and minds. So be the voice, right? Be the, like the voice of God. I feel like that's quite a heavy burden to put on your shoulders there, Aquarius. Again, I'm not talking from any kind of one religion, apart from the one religion, because I think everything is part of one big great machine, right? Everything is just, it's just one big thing to me. So for me to divide things up into smaller, like labels is what feels wrong to me. But if you if you've found yourself in a certain worldview and that works for you, I am not challenging that in any sort of shape or way. As I say, it's the importance here is on the personal belief system, the personal opinions, what's right for you. It doesn't matter what's right for the rest of the world. It only matters what your opinion is about your own soul, right? Your own spiritual connection to whatever's above. That's what I'm emphasizing here. I'm saying that you are right. Whoever you are watching this, you are right, because that is what's right for you. Doesn't mean you have to impress it on everybody else. I'm not saying that you have to go out and convert everybody or anything like that. But sometimes just speaking about what works for you has a huge impact on other people. You know, you can say, this is my truth. And other people might be like, I like the sound of that truth. Maybe that's my truth too. I'll try that on for size. You know, you can change the world in a very authentic, very personal way without actually even meaning to do it. Unbound. That's what it said. It's like this thing being unbound from within you. What an amazing reading, Aquarius. Because you've had a few iffy readings recently. I've had to tell you off a few times. But I think you were just working through something, right? I think you were working through, what do I believe? What is my right and wrong? You know, is my right and wrong the same as everybody else's right and wrong? You know, why does that work for them but not for me? So you've had a few readings where I've like pulled stuff out, or I've told you off, or I've given you a lecture, but I think it was all this part of this process for you of doing this deep thinking, and really understanding what does and doesn't work for you. What is your truth? You know, everything has a reason. So we're here now. We're here now with this deep spiritual truth that works for you and it's right for you. And I'm pleased that you found that. For those of you that I am connecting with, that I am reading for here, you know, I think that this is it's a very high vibrational energy to be in, to know your truth and be comfortable with that. So where are we? Unbound. It's not going to be for every Aquarian, you know, we're not all on the same path. We're not all, well, we are kind of on the same path, but we're not all at the same point, right? The paths are negotiable. It's the destination, it's the end goal that's important. And I think you're close to a kind of leveling up in your life, a spiritual leveling up, which I think is very healthy for you. Releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. It's time to release old soul stories that have been playing out in your life. They are coming up to be healed. There has never been a safer time to clear these patterns than right now. Take a look at the patterns in your life that you are ready to release. Ancient vows and contracts that your soul made that have an expiry date. It could be a vow of silence or chastity or poverty. It's time to unwind from them. This is the life in which you are free from your trauma of past lives. You are free, Aquarius, from the trauma of your past lives because you have done the shadow work. So this is big. This is very good. What old ways of being have an expiry date? When you name them, you claim them, and they stop holding power over you. What is it? You have no power over me. A labyrinth keeps coming through at the moment. When acknowledging these old patterns, it's also important to acknowledge how they have served you up until now. For example, a soul pattern of playing small caused by soul fear of being seen or sharing your voice. Going back to this, right? It would have served you by keeping you safe. In order to grow, you now need to soften by receiving and calling in support. It's time to unbind from old ways of being that are no longer sustainable. So it's like what served you in the past, the way you behaved in the past served you at that time. I feel like somebody else had this, but it's not fit for purpose anymore. Your soul's grown beyond those borders, those conditions. So now that you're in a different environment, emotionally or spiritually or physically, there's a need for you to drop those old patterns of behavior that don't serve you anymore. Actually, they hold you back. You may want to go and check out there's a brilliant series on Netflix all about the brain, and there's a season 2 which I've been watching, and I think it was in the teenage brain episode, but they were talking about the things that worked in the past for teenagers don't actually apply anymore, but the brain still behaves in the same way. So the way it plays out differently now for modern teenagers than it did for teenagers in the past. It serves a different purpose. So do go and check out, it's a Netflix series. If you type in brain into the search, I'm sure it'll come up. But it's a very interesting series for those big brain Aquarians out there who like that sort of thing. I release old soul stories, vows, contracts, and patterns that are no longer aligned with who I came here to be in the present time. I carry the lessons, growth, and gifts, but I no longer choose to live the same story. May I be unbound, forever unbound. So for me, an example of this, of human evolution would be, I have canine teeth, right, for tearing. We are designed to eat meat. However, my principles as a vegetarian say that I don't need to eat meat. I don't need to kill animals in order to be a healthy human being. I know now, because of scientific advancements and through the availability of a huge range of food, that I can make the choice to be vegetarian and still be healthy and still get those the vitamins and things that my body needs to survive. But I don't have to kill an animal. That part of me is part of an old version of myself. So yeah, interesting reading. I really enjoyed it. So thank you for sharing your energy with me today, Aquarius. I do hope you go forth and spread that beautiful soul of yours. I think it's worth sharing. And the clouds are pink, by the way. Now the sun's starting to go down and the clouds are like pink candy floss. It's very beautiful, very magical, talking about magic becoming reality. Yeah, do leave me a like and subscribe, share your story, share this with your Aquarian friends if you think they need to hear it. Share it with your family if you just think, look, this tarot card reader is saying you need to listen to me because I'm onto something here, right? Whatever you want to do, whatever you're comfortable with. And if you don't want to do any of that, that's perfectly fine as well. I don't have any expectations of you. So accept that you look after yourselves and you work on making yourself happy, because I think that's a valuable thing for you to do and you deserve it. Do take care of yourselves, Aquarius, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.